I want you to recognize that right here on TCLN Network, I turn headlines into educational opportunities so that we can be informed and inspired to do better and to be better. Today on TCLN, I am going to use the case of Bari Weiss, CBS editor-in-chief. We're going to come together. We're going to break this thing down. We're going to look at the facts. I am going to be referring all information today from the Associated Press unless otherwise noted. Again, all facts and all information is going to be coming from Associated Press articles unless otherwise noted. Okay, so let's jump right in. This is going to be a special segment for podcasters and for those who love to do YouTube videos, content, and you are in the lane of news commentary. It's going to be just for you today. Okay, everybody else, you are invited to the table. No one is excluded, but this is specific. Why? Because again, this is dealing with some information that is going to be very, very valuable to us who are in this lane. Okay, no matter who we are, how we do it, we must do it in such a way that we are bringing value, but most of all, if we're not careful, in ways where we're not getting strikes, where we're not getting lawsuits, where we're not getting all of this uproar that is causing us to either go backwards or to go down. So let's jump into it right here on TCLN Network, where I like to educate, to elevate, so that we go from situations to solutions. Let's start with the headlines. I'm just going to give you a few headlines that has been already posted when it comes to the Associated Press. Just in case you don't know what the Associated Press is, it is a platform that most of your news organizations go to find out about the latest headlines, the latest news. It is neutral. They do not do left or right. They do facts only, and they present you with information that we can pull, and then we can go from there. Okay. Otherwise, that is the short point of what the Associated Press. There are way much more, but that is the core. So let's get into it. Bari Weiss is the new editor-in-chief of CBS News after Paramount buys her website. Now, this is an article that was posted by David Botter, which is the Associated Press national media writer. Paramount said that it bought the news and commentary website, The Free Press, and installed its founder, Bari Weiss, as editor-in-chief of CBS News, saying it believed the country longs for news that is balanced and fact-based. Bari Weiss goes from critic of mainstream news to one of its gatekeepers. Now, what that is referring to is that Bari Weiss is known as a person, and I may be saying her name in variations, Weiss Weiss. It's actually known as Weiss, I believe. So Bari Weiss, right? She is known to be a critic of mainstream news. Of course, she's had statements to make that it wasn't balanced, that it was more left-wing or more right-wing, and now she has taken on the role of editor-in-chief at CBS. 60 Minutes pulls story about Trump's deportation from its lineup. Now, of course, you've heard that headline trending, and that was about, again, Bari was deciding as editor-in-chief that the story was not ready. According to her statements, they don't have enough verified information, and she needed to pull the actual story that was done. Now, according to the person who had done the story and covered the story, which we're going to get a little bit more into details, according to her, the story was fully vetted, and that person believed that it's more of a political move. And the last headline, of course, we all know Charlie Kirk's wife and her interview with CBS Town Hall with Erika Kirk, widow of activist Charlie Kirk. Now, that is just some of the stories and headlines that are recently trending that are surrounding Bari Weiss, editor-in-chief, CBS. It is a lot of controversy that is going on around these trending headlines. And what I want to do is I want to use this as an opportunity. How does this affect us as independent podcasters, YouTubers, commentators, and the like? And what can we learn from it so that we can be better and do better, right? Now let's jump into it. There are arguments about who she is, where she come from, where her experience. That will come out a little bit later as we go back and forth about statements and quotes from these various articles that I'm going to refer to from the Associated Press. Again, I wanted to bring this more educational base today is because I want us to recognize just how much information, and if we are not careful and we don't break things down, and we are so influenced by culture, by who we side with, who we team with, by information, emotional, you understand what I'm saying? Depending on our backgrounds, depending on our experiences and where we come from, we will tend to put that on top of information. And then we want to spew that to the public if we are not careful. And that's why I want to come with this segment, with this episode, so that we can understand first, let's see what's really going on. Let's see what's really being said, right? Before we put our emotions, our feelings, our thoughts, because it's easy to do that. It's easy to say that person is just sitting up there with the Trump administration. We know, we saw the interview with Nicki Minaj, you understand what I'm saying? And we know that everybody has a voice. Candace Owens, everything that is going on with that, and Charlie Kirk, right? And we have our picks, we have our favorites. But what I want to do here today is set that aside, mentally, emotionally, sit all that aside, and let's see what it actually is. Once we tap into what it actually is, what is actually said, then we can dig a little bit deeper, see what is being stated. You understand what I'm saying? What the actual facts are, what people have actually been saying, then we can come to a conclusion on how this really affects us and the direction that media is actually going, okay? And to be able to choose what direction we personally would go with our own platforms, right? So let's continue. 60-minute story, since that's the most recent, right? What actually happened? So let's start with this story. The controversy right now centers on 60 Minutes investigative segment about Trump's administration deportations of Venezuelan migrants to El Salvador's CECOT prison. CBS News abruptly pulls the segment just hours before it was scheduled to air, sparking internal backlash, right? So, of course, we hadn't heard about it yet, but others had. But it also ended up accidentally airing on streaming. So some of it did get out there, right? So let's continue. Key points. Let's go over some key points. 60 Minutes reporters say the piece was fully vetted and cleared by legal and editorial review before CPS pulled it. Okay. Sharon Alfonsi, I hope I'm saying that right, Alfonsi, the correspondent on the piece, circulated an internal memo calling the decision political and not editorial. CBS official reason the story needed editorial reporting and didn't advance the ball without certain context and interviews. So that's basically what Bari was saying. She was saying, listen, it's not vetted enough. I don't just want to put it out there. According to her whole goal is she want to start bringing more balanced information instead of left, right, wing, right? So she's saying before a story like that is so impactful get out there, she wanted to make sure that it was vetted a little bit more. And according to the author that was on the story, they were saying that it was vetted, cleared legally, and it should have aired, right? So that was the back and forth debate. The decision prompted criticism from journalists, lawmakers, and former network staffers alleging inappropriate interference. The original cut accidentally aired on a Canadian platform. That is the core of what was going on when it comes to that particular headline of that situation, right? We're going to hit these headlines first, and then we're going to get a little bit deeper. You guys need to know the basics, right? Because a lot of times by the time you guys hit YouTube, by the time you hit mainstream, by the time you hit all these platforms, you are hearing parts of messages, right? So according to what reporters reporting to you at that time, you're going to be hearing facts. If you're hearing it from reputable sources like Associated Press and reputable outlets. So you're just going to get the facts. And then by the time you hitting your favorite commentaries, they're going to be coming full blast at you. Blah, 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 but depending on which way they are leaning. Do you understand that? Very few of them are neutral. The majority of them are mostly either left wing, right wing, and some of them try to stay neutral, but you know, hey, we as people, we still have our views, so you understand how that can go, right? Now, what was happening with this defense and internal messaging when it came to Bari Weiss and internal staff? Let's go over that. Weiss and CBS leadership have publicly defended this decision, both internal staff, memos, and interviews, as an effort to uphold fairness, balance, and journalistic standards. Weiss sent an internal Christmas Eve memo emphasizing the need for thorough, balanced reporting to rebuild trust. She and others stressed that CBS is not aiming to score points politically. Weiss also framed editorial caution as a part of broader newsroom overhaul. So her framing is editorial standards, not necessarily explicit political shielding, according to Weiss. Now, let's go over the layoff and staff changes amidst Weiss' arrival. Now, you guys all know it was trending on TikTok. I saw it, you saw it, everybody saw it. There was a young fellow up there. We all saw him trending on TikTok, and this is what he had to say concerning CBS.
This clip is used for commentary, analysis, and education under Section 107 of the Copyright Act.
I just got laid off from my job at CBS, and every producer on my team who got laid off is a person of color. Every person who gets to stay and will be relocated within the company is a white person. Now, in my meeting with the executive who told me I was getting laid off, I specifically asked him if it was a consideration for us to be relocated somewhere else within the company, and he said that we advocated to keep the show. We advocated to try to get you relocated somewhere, and we couldn't. Because I asked him, why are you the person who is making this decision or delivering the news that we're being laid off? And he said, oh, it could have been anyone. Only to later find out, because it wasn't until I went downstairs thinking that me and all of my colleagues had been laid off, that I found out that it was only the people of color. So I went one by one to my white colleagues. Are you getting laid off? No. 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 So I went back up to his office and I told him, I think you lied to my face. And come to find out, it was not his decision to eliminate the show that I work for. But he did get to decide who got to stay. I told him, you said that you couldn't get us relocated, only to find out that you were able to get some people relocated and they all happen to be white. Am I supposed to believe that that's a coincidence?
You've heard what he had to say. You saw it trending all over TikTok. I'm pretty sure you read all the comments, and I'm sure that you had a side. I'm sure you had something to say yourself, right? I think we all do, right? But a lot of times we're quick to respond and slow to go research, slow to go find out information, just quick to respond. Everybody's been wrapped up in polarization. Everybody's been wrapped up in the fight, wrapped up in the strife, wrapped up in the debates, right? Well, let's unwrap today. Let's unwrap and let's get back to thinking. Let's get back to reasoning. Let's get back to information, and then we can have our personal thoughts or opinions or form some things, right? So CBS cut roughly 100 employees during widespread Paramount global layoffs that affected broadcast and digital segments alike. Now, what I want you to remember too is that this is also been verified. You must understand that some of the changes, a lot of it that was being made since Weiss has been there at CBS, some of it was being made aforetime before she even came. So, a lot of times, how when companies are transitioning and they bring someone new on, it's not that when that person comes, all of a sudden they're A, B, C, D, F, G. No, things were already being done. And a lot of times they will bring you on board to implement stuff, right? So remember, some of the changes that were being made had nothing to do with just Weiss alone. You understand what I'm saying? Some of those changes were already in progress. And of course, as editor-in-chief, you're going to be called on to implement some things along with what you're going to bring to, right? So guys, keep that in mind, okay? Now, critics point out that among layoffs, 8 online personalities who were women and several other people of color among those were let go. That has been verified, right? Some former staffers and observers have alleged that layoffs disproportionately impacted Black and minority employees, though CBS has not confirmed that the decisions were race-based. CBS also cut down its race and culture unit, leading to further criticisms about diversity representation at the network, okay? Now, let's talk about newsroom culture, staff, and reaction and morale. Let's get to that. Since Weiss' appointment in October 2025, numerous insiders and media critics have described the newsroom atmosphere as tense. A range of staffers reportedly said morale is low and expressed frustration over leadership changes. Some journalists criticized Weiss' background as coming from an opinion writer versus broadcast news experience versus having broadcast news experience as not aligned with traditional newsroom leadership. Others outside and inside CBS have weighed in on the direction Weiss is taking the network. That's the back and forth when it comes to culture and what's going on in CBS newsroom. Now, let's go over and let's hit this because this is important. What isn't fully verified just as yet? Rumors or claims that the majority of Black employees were fired because of their race go beyond current reporting. There are credible allegations that layoffs disproportionately has hit people of color and that the race and culture unit was dissolved. That has been verified. There is no corporate statement providing racial targeting as policy. Reporting it has been based on individual accounts and observers. What has been verified, what has not been verified, okay? This is important. You may think, no, it's important. In order for us to think and critically think, so we won't just be going emotional, or just won't be saying something, because we all know, you guys, that no matter what side of the pool you come from, some people will have valid points and some people will have points that are not valid. And if you just get wrapped up in one side, you will miss what is valid. In order for you to grow and to be better, especially as podcasters, YouTubers, and all of this, you need to have a balanced perspective. You need to be able to unwrap the emotion, unwrap the polarization, and be able to feed your audience. You understand what I'm saying? It's about your audience. And you want them to be informed. You want them to really have the facts. You want them to be able to think for themselves. You don't always want to be, blah, 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 always telling them what to think. It's good to share your insight. It's good to share your opinion, but it needs to be in such a way that you've allowed them to think first for themselves. They need to be individuals first, right? Because journalism and reporting is really all about self-governing. Again, journalism and reporting. I'm not talking about gossip columns. I'm not talking about persuasion columns. I'm not talking about all this stuff. Journalism and reporting, even in commentary, is still about the citizens, democracy, about people being able to self-govern. People cannot self-govern if we are spewing gossip, if we are spewing hate, if we are spewing polarization, okay? So That's why this is important, guys, right? So even though we don't want to hear all that. We want you to get to the point. That's fine. So this is going to be for those that understand getting to the point means us getting better. And if that's you, let's continue. I want to go over an article. This article is important so that we can really get information. You know, Associated Press, anybody who is a podcaster in the news commentary, anybody who does YouTube news commentary, anything, you know who the Associated Press is. If you don't, you should. So go check it out. But you know, they basically give you the information. And anytime they do any type of claim or anything, it will always be in quotes, letting you know who said what. So it won't be contributed that they're saying it. They basically are this organization that give you what you need. Right? So let's go over this article by David Botter. Bari Weiss is the new editor-in-chief of CBS News after Paramount buys her website. We're going to find some nuggets in here that I feel that will help you think. You understand what I'm saying? Like I said, by the time you get commentary, by the time you guys get all this information, you get in bits, parts, and pieces, and you really need to get an understanding and a foundation. Paramount said that it has bought the news and commentary website of Free Press, installed its founder, Bari Weiss, as the editor-in-chief of CBS News, saying it believes, now pay attention, like I said, it's going to be some nuggets in here, saying it believes the country longs for news that is balanced and fact-based. It's a bold step for the television network of Walter Cronkite, Dan Rather, which is one of my favorites, you guys know that, I grew up watching him, and 60 Minutes, long viewed by many conservatives as the personification of a liberal media establishment. Pay attention to what's really being said in here. The network is placing someone in a leadership role who has developed a reputation for resisting orthodoxy and fighting woke culture. Now, whether you agree or disagree, take note on what you are actually hearing, because this is what's being stated, and this is what's important. I am confident her entrepreneurial drive and editorial vision will invigorate CBS News, said David Ellison, who took over this summer as the corporate leader overseeing the network when his company, Skydance, purchased Paramount. His company, Skydance, purchased Paramount, and of course, the Free Press, which was started by Bari Weiss, was purchased by Paramount. So do you see the ring there? Guys, pay attention, right? These facts are important. This is why you guys really need to get back to reading. I know we've gotten a lot into video. We've gotten a lot into our favorite personalities and all that kind of stuff. That's good. That's okay. But we need to get back to reading. We need to get back to really reading and dissecting information, so that by the time you go hit your favorite commentaries, you go hit your favorite shows, news, whatever, you guys already have down pat what you need to know, okay? And you're better able not to be so emotionally moved, and you're looking at, how am I thinking about this? And then if you are a creator, content creator, or a podcaster, you have so removed all that emotionalism from it, what everybody's saying and everybody's opinions, and then you're able to break forth a little bit more with who and what and how you would think about it. You see what I'm saying? Because when you're able to go look at this stuff for yourself and you're able to dig a little bit deeper, you're able to get insights that you would pop up with, instead of just looking at your favorite people and your this and this and that and just going with the flow. You understand? Just going with the flow. I hope you guys get what I'm getting at, right? Editor-in-chief is a new role at CBS News. Ellison said that Weiss will shape editorial priorities, champion core values across platforms, and lead innovation in how the organization reports and delivers its news. In a letter to CBS News employees on Monday, Weiss said that watching CBS was part of a family tradition growing up in Pittsburgh, and her goal in the next few weeks is to get to know the staff. I want to hear, this is where I want you guys to pay attention, right? I want to hear from you and what's working, what isn't, and what your thoughts on how we can make CBS News, listen up, the most trusted news organization in America and the world. Weiss wrote, I'll approach it the way any reporters would, with an open mind, a fresh notebook, and urgent deadline. Y'all see how important it is to go read,
This
guys?
clip is used for commentary, analysis, and education under Section 107 of the Copyright
Good
Act.
evening. I'm Bari Weiss, editor-in-chief of CBS News, and I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let me tell you why we're here. If you're watching this or you're sitting here in this room with me, you know what I know, which is that we live in a very divided country, a country where many people feel that they can't speak across the political divide. Sometimes they feel they can't even speak across their own kitchen table. And one of the goals of the new CBS News is to change that. And this town hall is just the beginning. This is going to be the first of many conversations and debates on CBS News about the things that matter most, which are often the hardest to talk about. I can make one promise to you, and it's this. You will not agree with everything you hear tonight or in any of these other broadcasts. And that is exactly the point. Because the premise of a democracy is that we persuade each other with words and not violence. And that the only way to get to the truth is by talking to one another.
Before you guys start, that's the noise out there. You're going to get the noise. You got mainstream, you got all your conglomerate channels, CBS, NBC, all of this. You got all of your reporters, all of your journalists. And then you have all of your favorite commentaries on YouTube, podcasts, and all of that. The reason why it is so important, like I said, especially if you guys are podcasters, going to be podcasters. Podcasting is very, very, everybody has heard about the 200 million deal that Charlemagne the God has just done. Podcasting is off the roof, right? So guys, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to do it right. Ain't going to be no half stepping. You're going to have to throw those cloaks off and get back to reading. You understand what I'm saying? So you guys can be first informed. Find your favorite, most trusted outlets, whether that be Associated Press or whatever organization, news organizations that may be for you, so you guys can get the information. So when you go to the noise, you hit the noise, you already got how you thinking about things. You're already looking at, okay, you're able to separate what? The noise, the facts, the opinions, who's saying what's been confirmed, what hasn't been confirmed. So when you get to your audience, do you understand that? When you get to your audience, you are feeding them correctly. And then if you want to add a little bit of your savvy to it, what you think about it, there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. But first, you need yourselves to be informed, okay? We got to do that. If we gonna do this thing, ain't no half-stepping. We got to do it right? And that don't just go for us independents. This is what the conglomerates are trying to get back to. And let me tell you why they trying to get back to it. Because they've been looking at y'all, independents, small channels, people like us on the internet. And they be saying, wow, what they doing? What they trying to do? Oh, we hear them out there. So let us go do it too. Because remember, they wasn't doing that at first. But they hear you. They hear you loud and clear. So believe it or not, guys, you are impactful. Don't let nobody tell you you're not impactful. We are impactful. And they are listening and they are watching us. Do you understand that? So let's continue this train, baby. Because guess what? We are bringing back something special. And when I say we, I'm talking about the few of us, and you know who you are up there, that we take this and we love it, we enjoy it, but we knew that something was missing. We knew that something was missing. And we knew that we didn't want to be the gossip side. We knew that we didn't just want to be the polarization side. We knew that people were starving for honesty, truth, information, inspiration, motivation. But most of all, we knew that people needed correct information. No matter what our opinions choose to be, no matter how we choose to look at things, we knew that people needed correct information as much as possible, right? And that's what the conglomerates are claiming to try to get back to. Why? They've heard us out there, guys. Let's keep going. Now, there has been talk about Bari Weiss and what her background is politically and where she comes from. So I just want to give you a statement of what she's had to say herself. Weiss has said she voted for Mitt Romney in 2012, Hillary Clinton in 2016, and Joe Biden in 2020. Trump's win in 2016, she said, had her left sobbing. But she later said she has suffered from Trump derangement syndrome. Now, guys, you know that was said about him, right? The late Rob Reiner is the one who kind of said that tagline, the big filmmaker, you know, the one in whom his son stabbed him and his mother to death. And he's being charged right now, and all that stuff has been going on. Well, that's where that statement came from, Trump derangement syndrome. So, speaking on Fox News earlier this year, she said Trump has pursued many policies that she agreed with and decried the overzealous, out-of-touch historical reaction to him. Now, this is where I pose this. Do we have a right to change our mind? So, listen to me closely. A lot of people take sides. Democrats, Republican. Democrats, Republican. You have liberal, you have other things, but most people Democrat, Republican. And it has been causing such a great divide over the years. Such a great divide. But guess what? Do you have a right to change your mind? If you start seeing some things that is just beyond the norm. You understand what I'm saying? What is the norm? Abortions, jobs, economy, all those things that we've been talking about, right? And we recognize that over the years, things have expanded just beyond those taglines that's been used in the political arena to get votes. People are talking about deeper issues, deeper situations, more values. How do we have a balance? How do we have a balance between values and morals? And then also people get to live the best life that you can live as a U.S. citizen, right? So again, are we allowed to change our minds without people jumping down our throat, calling us fake, phony, saying that, oh, we don't know what we talking about. We was first this and now we that. I see it all the time on social media. Because people always like say for instance, somebody will say something. Let's give Candace Owens as an example. So remember, Candace Owens had a strong backing with Trump, right? She had a strong backing with Trump. She advocated for Trump administration. Of course, her Charlie Kirk, all of the ring of conservatism, right? But then she started seeing some things she disagreed with as far as Israel is concerned and what was going on with Gaza and some of the people, right? And she just totally disagreed. And of course, when Charlie Kirk has been hit and some of the research and facts that was coming up with that on that end and some of the things that has been confirmed, not just with her, but with Erika Kirk too and others, right? Did she have a right to change her mind? So there will be people, even Charlie Kirk, we know through facts and information that has came out that Charlie Kirk was first going down the Zionist movement, right? But as he began to see things that were happening, he began to disagree. Wait a minute now. I'm not against Israel, but I'm against some of the choices that they're making. And so then now that he begins to change his mind, there are threats. There are things going on. So remember, we have a right to change our mind. Now, I'm not going to jump into whether, oh, she's not changing her mind. It's something else, this and this and that. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to bring this information. This is what they're saying from their mouth. This is what's been confirmed from the Associated Press. This is what you make of it. You understand what I'm saying? You have a right to form your opinions. You have a right to gather your insight from the sources that you get them from. But you first need to be informed with facts and information instead of just gossip, race baiting, hatred, and all the different things that go on. Okay, guys? I'm just trying to make a point here. This is how we get better, and this is how we do better. Now, with all that being said, all I'm trying to say to you is practice, practice, practice getting the information first. Information first. Facts first. Then, as you analyze it, as you break it down, it's like solving a puzzle. It's like, okay, this is their statement. This is their statement. This is what's been confirmed. This is what's not been confirmed. Then you are allowed to speak your judgments. Then you are allowed to speak your experiences. There's nothing wrong with that. We can't be little robots where we don't think, we don't feel, and we don't have opinions. That would be foolish. That's shutting down free speech. That's shutting down being what we call people, being what we call a consciousness, learning from one another, growing, getting better, iron sharpening. So that's what we should be able to do. But we can't just start off with, oh, these people have a right to change their mind. We have a right to grow. We have information comes. It don't stop coming. Listen, 1 minute we may get a statement that say this, right? Okay, we can only go off of what has been given us, right? We make decisions. Then next thing you know, more information come in. Be like, okay, that information may cause you to change your mind. I'm going to give an example, and then I'm going to let you guys go. Okay? I just wanted to use this as an example. Miss Weiss. I don't have anything negative to say about her. I don't know her. I haven't dug that deep. I can only go off of what's all the drama on the internet, all the stuff I saw on TikTok, and I said, wait a minute. How can I use this as a moment to help us get better? Be better, think better as we go on as podcasters, YouTubers, commentators, all of that, so that we can better help serve our audiences, okay? Now, that's why I wanted to use this as an educational moment. But I am not a robot, baby, so let's get into it. So one of the ones I want to use is the Erika Kirk interview on 60 Minutes. I watched it. I did. Now, let me tell you what I mean by you have a right to be, people call it human, right? I don't like to use the word human. You have a right to be a spiritual person having this experience in life, right? You have a right to reason, think, discern, do all of that. It's just bigger than the facts, right? It's bigger than what we are given. We know that even information that we given that's called so-called facts may not always be true either. You understand what I'm saying? We can only go off the basis of what we given. So I want to use Erika Kirk as an example, and then I'm going to close this segment out, okay? Now, when I first heard of Charlie Kirk, I'm going to be honest with you, I never heard of this guy a day in my life until I saw Charlie Kirk shot in the...
Breaking news out of Utah Valley University.
There's an emergency response there, flooded by law enforcement.
The conservative activist Charlie Kirk has died after being shot during an event.
First time I ever heard of that. And of course, it's going to draw your attention. It's going to draw your interest, right? And I was like, what in the world is going on? Like, how does this even happen? So fast forward, let me start with this. When it first happened, there were so many people talking about Erika Kirk like a dog. Oh, it was all over TikTok. At least that's how I felt. It was all over TikTok. It was all over socials. It was everywhere, right? And the first thought came to me is like, dang, this woman husband ain't even been dead 3 days. And these people have went off on this media. Like, my guys, slow down. Slow down. Let this woman breathe, right? Like, oh my God, how can you say these things? Like, how can you, like, guys? But you know what? We again get emotional. We again go by what we think. We again go by what we've experienced. Now, time has went on. So many other commentators have had things to say, even the news itself or mainstream. Now, what I mean by you begin to change your mind on some things, right? Maybe not fully, but sometimes you begin to think deeper as more and more information come out. So as I began to study the life of Charlie Kirk, because like I said, I didn't know who he was. All I heard was a bunch of drama. He was prejudiced. He was this. He deserved to die because of what he said. He was talking about black people like a dog. If he would have mind his business and not be worried about black folk, then a white person wouldn't have shot him. You know, this and that. I mean, you hear everything out there, right? His wife, oh, you don't even know. She's a part of it, blah, 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 blah. Oh, this ain't nothing but controlled opposition. Oh, this is nothing but, you know. So it's so many stories you hear, right? And as more and more information began to come out, and as I began listening to Charlie Kirk myself, this is what I mean by, guys, reading for yourself, getting the facts first, listening from the horse's mouth, the original people and what they've had to say. I began to see that most of the information out there was just totally false. Sorry, just false. I've seen so many videos about Charlie Kirk and how he really felt about the black community, how he felt about the music industry and its influence. Guys, if you know anything about my channel, anything about me, I have talked about that so many more times than I can even count before I even knew who a Charlie Kirk was. Do you understand that? So some of those things he was saying, man, I could agree with. I'm like, these people out here hollering that he prejudiced. I didn't even know who he was. What really got to me is when I saw a video, guys, of Charlie Kirk talking about abortions. Again, something else I can agree with. I heard this man talking about and debating someone on why would you want abortions to be this way when the majority of the abortions were black babies being terminated. I'm like, oh my God. Now this coming from his mouth, not he say, she say gossip. This is coming from this guy's mouth, right? This is me getting more and more of getting to know his message, not listening to what they were saying. He prejudiced, he this and this and that. This is what I mean by, guys, you got to dig deeper. You can't just go by what people say and race baiting so narratives, because then you're going to be feeding your audiences false information, right? You want to give your remember, journalism, whether commentary or what, anytime you grabbing after this news and you're going to be in this, it's all about people self-governing. People can't self-govern if you're constantly giving them all of this stuff that's going to make them emotional and crazy and psychotic. You got to feed them information first. Then you can say, hey, this is how I feel about it. What you feel about it. You understand what I'm saying? You're allowing them to self-govern. So, but anyway, to continue on, right? And I was really like, oh my God, this guy ain't, no, this is not his message, right? And then there would be some things he would say, I'd be like, no, Charlie, no, let me break it down for you, Charlie, So, but I've enjoyed watching the statements and things he's had to say. Why? Because I took out the chance to go to his stuff and listen to it for myself. Now, again, let's get back to Erika.
Right now, black culture is being held captive by influences, songs,
Which
and role models.
influences?
I mean, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B.
Okay, Nicki Minaj is causing dads to leave the home.
Hold on a second. I don't think that's a good role model for 18-year-old black girls. I don't.
When I saw Nicki Minaj up there, now you have to put all of the things together. You have to put Christianity together. the beliefs and tenets of Christianity, the things that Jesus Christ taught. If you say you are a Christian, not what the world teaches that Jesus Christ is. You're going to go by the Bible. You're going to go by biblical principle. You have to go by what Jesus Christ taught, not what the world says that Jesus said, because the world is the world. You're going by biblical principles. You understand what I'm saying? The red, the Bible got the red. What did Jesus say? Most of all, what did Jesus do? Right? So when I saw Nicki Minaj and I saw what Charlie Kirk had to say when it came to the
I mean, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B.
Okay, Nicki Minaj is causing dads to leave the home.
Hold on a second. I don't think that's a good role model for 18-year-old black girls. I don't think that songs that are talking about like glorifying wet female genitalia is exactly, I don't know which one wrote that song. Which one was it?
I think it was Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But by the way, the role models of the 1940s and 50s for black America were completely different.
So it is a representation issue.
Hold on a second. No, not representation. It's who do you get your art from? It's what values are they putting forward? It's
of culture, black culture, music. He specifically mentioned Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, what he stood against, what his values and morals, what his beliefs were of young black men needing fathers, how this music has so done damage, what he stood for when he said he didn't believe that they were a good role model, you understand, for young black girls in the black community. And I see his wife on stage with the very thing that he wanted to be better and to get better. When I see her hold this person's hand and say, this is my sister, when I'm not going by gossip, he say, she say, I'm talking about what I see.
And what do you think about for young men? For young men.
And for young men, don't be new scum. Yes, see, dear young men, you have amazing role models like our handsome, dashing president. And you have amazing role models like the assassin J.D. Vance, our vice president. And when I say that,
trust me, there's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine. Yes, we did. I love you. I love you. You have to laugh about it, truly. I have been called every single thing, and you know what? God is so good, you let it roll right off your back. And this is what's so beautiful about this moment, because if the internet wants to clip it, who cares? I love this woman. She's an amazing woman. She has a soul and a heart for the Lord. And words are words, but I know her heart, and it doesn't even matter. And you say what you want to say because I know your heart.
Let me say this. Now, when I originally, the clip I just showed you, when I originally saw it all over social, I'm not going to lie. I was like, this is absolutely crazy. What in the name of a ritual, of a titual, of a shenitual is really going on? Like, something don't seem right. And I went and I watched the full video, the entire full video. Now, I told you earlier that there are people who are different, right? TCLN Network is designed to educate, to elevate. So that is what I created this platform for. I do think. And when I looked at it in totality, she was talking about both males and she was talking about females. So Erika was asking her, what would you say to young girls? And she gave all of the input of what she would say to young girls, right? And she felt like that they can't live the sins of other people and they shouldn't be made to feel bad and stuff like that. about what people say and what people think. And then Erika went on and asked her, what about boys? Now, I'm not going to lie to you. There is footage out there. Basically, this original footage that I'm showing you, it came from PBS NewsHour, right? But there is footage out there, and it's not stretched, it's not manipulated. And you can literally see the facial expressions of Nicki Minaj. Like, you can see these things. And I'm not gonna lie to you, when you look at the facial expressions, when you look at these things, it do speak volumes. So her face expressions, her words do not line up with, you understand what I'm saying, an appointed time for her to be talking like that. I'm just going to be honest. That's just my input. And I know that Erika would say, this is what Erika said. And as you can see, I know in other words, Erika is saying, I know you didn't mean it in that way. And sometimes we say words, but I know your heart. I want to remind you that that's not what Jesus said. You understand what I'm saying? According to what the Bible says and what Jesus teach, these are the words that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Let me say that again. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, the tongue speaks. So it lets you know that the tongue and the heart is connected. So when we say things, instead of us brushing over it and acting like, oh, it was a mistake, it was this and this and that, sometimes we have to go check ourselves. Now, I know personally on a spiritual level, things can be spoken up through us. So we have to go check, was that me speaking? What was coming up? You understand what I'm saying? Or was that something else speaking? Or did that actually come out of my stream of consciousness? And if so, that's where we need to check ourselves. Because again, Erika says, I know your heart. Well, if you know that person's heart, then you would know that those are the wrong words to use at that time. So that is why, do you understand me? Everybody is such an uproar. Like I said, if you got people out there speaking, oh, how can you say this about Charlie? How in the world can you say that he died because that's how he was talking and this and this and this and that, and he deserved to die? Well, you're going to have to look at it on the other hand. People are going to be looking at what's coming out of y'all mouth. You understand what I'm saying? So just so you guys would know that everything is not about gossip. Everything is not about people saying it wrong. Everything is not about just social media. You must understand that when stuff like that comes up, people are going to have feelings, thoughts, and emotions about it. And most of all, the Jesus Christ that you're speaking of, that's of the Bible, that's of Christianity, said the same thing also. So in other words, test the spirit by the spirit to see if the spirit be of God or not. Okay? And if Charlie Kirk was there today and that was said, you understand what I'm saying? What would Charlie Kirk think about a statement like that? You understand? Let's keep going. I just wanted to add that
in. You, Erika Kirk, and Nicki Minaj, from that performance on that or that interview or that town hall, whatever you want to call it, you gave us something to look at. You gave us something to say, what is going on here? I mean, like, guys, you have to understand, sometimes you guys give us something to talk about. If you didn't want us talking, you would not be up there doing it. And sometimes you guys give us stuff to talk about. See, let me give you an example. When all of those people jumped up and they said, Charlie deserved to die because he was this and he was that. That moved us to say, wait a minute, y'all off the chains. You gotta be crazy. This is before Erika's town hall meeting. This is what we were saying when we didn't even know who the guy was. You got to be done lost your mind just because the man, you just gonna say he deserved to be shot in the neck? Y'all got to be off the chains. Why? Because we're responding to what these people are saying. I don't care who we are. We have opinions. We have thoughts. We don't deserve to be shot in the neck for it, or the head, or to be terminated. So naturally, that is going to move. Let me give you an example. I don't agree with abortions. Somebody else may agree with them. Do that mean I feel they deserve to be shot in the neck? No, I believe that they deserve to become aware and fully aware and grow spiritually, in my opinion, on what abortions really are. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I believe. I don't believe, and I believe we should have a conversation and deeper conversations about it so that people can be more enlightened. But just for somebody to be shot in the neck, I just need to go shoot you in the neck? No. So that automatically moves people like me. People like me who think like that. That moves us to say, wait a minute, y'all out of control. Hey, if you think that about him, you'll think something like that about me. So if you guys expect us to operate in that vein, and you expect us, so when you look at us, Erika Kirk, or anybody out there on the conservative side, you know what? You'll be like, yes, that's good. That's good. We're glad that you're thinking for yourself. Well, guess what? You have to also allow us to think for ourselves when we're looking at town hall meeting on CBS, and we like, what is this, Erika Kirk? What is really going on here, girlfriend? That's not what your husband stood for. And what is this? What is going on? See, we can't just use it on one side like you want us to. We got to be free to use it on all sides, even if that means critiquing what we see when we see it, right? So I just want to leave you guys with that so that you will know and understand that when we get more and more information, we are allowed to change our minds. We are allowed to grow. We are allowed to think.
Nicki Minaj has just embarked on a journey that I don't think she quite understands. Nicki Minaj is now participating in what Joe Rogan fell backwards into what Eric Clapton has fallen backwards into, which is all of a sudden looking around and saying, wait a second, what's really going on here? Why are you forcing me to take medicine I don't want to take, and you won't even answer my questions? Why are you not allowing dialogue and discourse, and you're trying to control my body? The wisdom that she has articulated in the last couple days far exceeds that of Fauci or Collins or any people in the CDC or NIH. So Nicki Minaj tweeted this tweet out, which broke the internet. My cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and he became impotent. Now, let me just stop here. We have over 6,000 emails, comments, and messages from you, our listeners, of negative vaccine reactions. And that list is growing. I know in my own personal circle, I know of at least 3 people that have had negative vaccine reactions. And Brett Weinstein, evolutionary biologist, doctor formerly from Oregon, Evergreen State University, he had an amazing podcast that got taken down by YouTube where he talked about this. But that's a thought crime. You're not allowed to have that discourse or that discussion. Nicki Minaj said his testicles became swollen. Apologize for the graphic nature of that. His friend was weeks away from getting married. Now the girl called off the wedding. So just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with your decision, not bullied. She wasn't telling people not to take the vaccine. She wasn't telling people anything false. She was just saying a first-person story, and she said pray on it. Oh, you're not allowed to say that. Telling people to pray on something, it's a thought crime. And what has happened in the day since is that Nicki Minaj, who has just regular common sense and street smarts, not about everything, but obviously about this topic, she is now experiencing the wrath of the media industrial complex, the pharmaceutical industrial complex, and based on her recent social media commentary, she's very confused why all of a sudden she has become the target of so many different forces. So Nicki Minaj has doubled and tripled down. I got to give her great credit. I thought she was going to back down and do kind of what celebrities almost do. I thought she was going to pull a John Cena. Now, let this be said for the record. Nicki Minaj has bigger whatever than John Cena. A lot more courage than John Cena. I don't know.
Because when news first hit, remember, news is fast. And all people are giving you is facts that has been verified. And what a lot of people are doing on socials is not necessarily giving you what's been verified, but they're giving you, hey, tap into the emotions, get you stirred up. But when it comes to news, it's supposed to be facts verified. It's supposed to be information you understand to inform the people. So, with that being said, I hope this episode has inspired you, but I want you to remember, we're not robots. We do think, we do feel, we are people and creation of discernment. We discern, we can think, you understand what I'm saying? Like, we know sometimes people can say things like, I love you, but we know that can have an underlying meaning. So we're not robots. You understand what I'm saying? And you can't expect us to take a side. When we look, whether it's mainstream, something like Town Hall, Erika Kirk, something like listening to what Charlie had to say, something like CBS, 60 Minutes, Venezuela being pulled, something like staffers, intense emotions, and what's going on with CBS, we the people, we the United States citizens, I'm first asking us to first inform ourselves. Don't just keep jumping to polarization. Oh, I'm on this side, so I'm going to automatically believe this. No, we got to get better. We got to do better. Let us first get back to educating ourselves. Let us first get back to being informed. And then, as more and more information hit us and more discernment, don't let us lose our discernment. It's our God-given gift to be able to look and discern, to be able to look at media, look at emotions, dissect things. You understand what I'm saying? That goes beyond facts. And that's a gift to us. You understand what I'm saying? Let us not lose sight of that. But let us not also lose sight of our common sense. Even Proverbs tell us that. Our common sense. Don't lose your common sense. And common sense is get those facts first. Get the information first. Then, and only then, can we make better and informed decisions. Let's bring ourselves out of this polarization rut. Let's bring ourselves out of useless debates. We want more useful debates, not useless arguments that keep us in strife, that keep us crazy as hell, that keep us delirious and in anger and doesn't move us forward, right? Thank you for joining me here today. Appreciate you if you have taken out the time to watch this. I hope in some way you really feel where I'm coming from, especially if you are podcasters and YouTubers, and even mainstream if you come across this. I didn't want to talk about Bari Weiss and all these different people in such a way that I just feel I have all the answers, because I don't. I'm not in these people's skin. I can form opinions and judgments all day long, just like anybody else. But that's not what I wanted to do with this episode. What I wanted to do is to help us to understand why it is so much strife amongst issues that are wrapped around this. You understand what I'm saying? And to bring to light that if we want to get better and do better, we first have to be better informed. We first have to be and know and to understand that it is the information that we get when we first get it, what's true, what's not true, what stands, what does not stand. And then as we get more and more of that in, and then we're better able to say, okay. And then on top of that, we're able to say, you know what? I discern that there's more to the story than what they telling us. That's when you start digging deeper. That's when you start saying, okay, my antenna's going off. You understand what I'm saying? Or you may even say, I have a right to change my mind. I first thought this, but something's a little iffy here. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the uniqueness of who you are. And that's what your audience deserve. They deserve the uniqueness of who you are, making sure first that you're bringing them truthful and factual information as much as possible. correct? I want to leave you with the Watergate story, very short. I remember reading a journalism book one time called The Elements of Journalism. And in that book, it stated the Watergate scandal. And I remember it was talking about news and how truthful and how factual news actually really is, especially when it moves fast. So it was talking about the Watergate scandal, and they was talking about how you can get facts, but not necessarily truth. You understand what I'm saying? And how those facts are presented, right? So let's just say I'm a journalist, and let's just say I get the facts and I bring you the facts. But guess what? I go and interview someone who was a part of the scandal and they know the truth. So even though I gave you the facts, there's always deeper levels to this game and deeper truths. Do you understand that? Facts are important. It establishes a story. But truth is when you really get down to the bone of it, and discernment is your God-given intelligence, okay? I want to leave you guys with that. I hope this bless you. One of my favorite childhood reporters I was watching when I was young. And at the time, I didn't think I needed that, but I realized I do need that type of courage. I want to leave you with this. As Dan Rather would say, courage, my friends, courage. I will see you guys next week.
Breaking news out of Utah Valley University.
There's an emergency response there, flooded by law enforcement.
The conservative activist Charlie Kirk has died after being shot during an event.
The latest horrible example of what appears to be a rising tide of political violence.
In the past year, we've seen assassinations and assassination attempts against a Republican presidential candidate, Democratic legislators, and a conservative activist.
One moment, Charlie was doing what he loved.
That's a different question.
Arguing and debating on campus. Fighting for the gospel.
You're thinking way too simple about this. You got to go deeper.
Truth.
This clip is used for commentary, analysis, and education under Section 107 of the Copyright Act.
Thank you for tuning in to TCLN Network, Austin Public. TCLN Network is independently produced by IBK Media Productions. To support TCLN Network financially, visit paypal.me/TCLN Network. Also, TCLN Channel Podcasts. To learn more about TCLN Network, visit thecreativeleadershipnetwork.com and follow on all socials, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at IBK Media Works.